science, as we understand it today, did not self-emerge, but underwent a period of gradual transformations. And yet again we have to come back to Greeks in order to detect the roots of systematic rational thinking. And at around the 6th century BC, we observe a number of schools emerging throughout Greek colonies. Milesian, Pythagorean, Ephesian, just to name a few. And so what made them different from predecessors is their rejection of a traditional mythological explanation of lifelong questions, such as where are we coming from? Why things the way they are? Or is there a mathematical relationship between objects and phenomena around us? One of the first known individuals of this tradition was Thales of Miletus, who lived between 624 and 546 BC in Anatolia, which is in modern-day Turkey. And so curiously, he considered that all basic elements are originating from water, and he provided reasoning to back it up. For example, he observed that water evaporates and becomes air when heated. And likewise, artifacts of seashells and fish skeletons that could be found on the solid surface of Earth made him think that in order for it to happen, there have got to be water here in the first place, and maybe at some point liquid, compressed and hardened until it became a solid rock. His thinking might seem naive or even childish to us nowadays, but again, let's not forget that he lived about 2500 years ago. Huge advancements in the applied reasoning were made by Pythagoras and his followers, especially in the fields of geometry and music. Pythagoreans were one of the first ones to realize that nature is governed by certain laws, which could be expressed in mathematical formulas and equations. And thus, by studying mathematics, we're gaining access to cosmic language and getting a better understanding of how universe around us works. The crucial point in the development of science was the formation of scholarship centers, the most famous of which was Library of Alexandria in Ptolemaic Egypt. Here, scholars from all over the antique world could share their ideas, they could get involved in intellectual discussions and systematically collect and preserve scientific data of contemporaries as well as their predecessors and pass them along. Hubs like Library of Alexandria allowed humanity to preserve and distribute accumulated knowledge without the risk of losing it. And that was very important because lots of knowledge that we gained was just simply lost. And according to Plutarch, the library was destroyed in fire during Caesar's sack of the city. But there's lots of evidence showing that academic works have spread from Alexandria to various cultural centers across the east and west of Roman Empire. With the collapse of Eternal City and the emergence of Dark Ages, all cultural ties were gradually lost, putting a development of science on a contemporary hold, in the West at least. By the time Islam spread across East and Mediterranean region, it encountered many scattered Hellenistic centers of learning. And immediately recognizing the importance and value of Greek scholarly works, Abbasid Caliphate launches an ambitious campaign to translate major works of antique Greek thinkers. Even though a great number of available philosophical works was translated from Greek to Syriac to Arabic, it's not a philosophy that was a major interest for Muslim rulers. Caliphs clearly realized practicality of disciplines like astronomy, which played a crucial part in navigation and exploration of that time, geometry for advanced construction and engineering, medicine, and so on. The majority of translations were done in today's Iraq territory, Iraq's capital, Baghdad, in Bait al-Hikmah, or House of Wisdom. Obtained knowledge of antiquity was complemented with the variety of advancements from Persian and Indian intellectuals. It was all mixed up, which elevated Greek thought to a new level. By 9th century, Baghdad scholars accumulated and translated an immense collection of world knowledge, which relatively quickly spread all over the Muslim world, reaching its most distant corners like Sicily and Andalusia, where it's about to be translated again, this time into Latin. During the decline of Islam's expansion in about 12th century AD, places like Iberian Peninsula, or nowadays Spain, have formed multicultural and multilinguistic communities. Minds from all over Europe traveled to reconquered cities of Andalusia in order to translate newly discovered knowledge of Greeks and their Arabic commentators. And we owe a great deal to translators like Gerard of Cremona, who traveled from Italy to Toledo in order to learn Arabic and to make works of antiquity widely known in Western Europe. During this period, multiple scholars opened floodgates of knowledge that was inaccessible otherwise to European civilization back from the collapse of Roman Empire. Education of almost all early Renaissance scientists was almost entirely based on the newly discovered Greek and Arabic texts. It's hard to underestimate the influence of Euclid's Elements on the works of Galileo Galilei, or Galen and Hippocrates, who held supremacy in medical practices, and Ptolemy's Almagest, which was an absolute authority in astronomy until the heliocentric world of Copernicus. And so thus we arrived to a birth of modern science and to the period where first serious clashes between science and religion begin.